Hello, everyone. This is Stacy. Welcome to The Landing. As we step into 2026, I want to take a moment right here at The Landing to pause, breathe, and look around. Because if you're listening from down east, from any of our beautiful communities, or if your heart lives here even when you don't, this episode is for you. Down east is not just a place on a map. It is the way the water changes color with the tide. It is the sound of decoys knocking together on a cold morning. It is porches that still tell stories, hands that still know how to make and mend, and communities that show up quietly, steadily for one another. This coastline has shaped who we are. The core sound, the marsh, the workboats, the wind, generations of watermen, builders, artists, teachers, storytellers, people who learned early that life here requires grit, grace, and deep respect for the land and water that provide. And that's why this program exists. The hope, our hope, is that the landing becomes a place to return to, not just tune into, a place where stories are saved before they are lost, where local voices matter, where heritage is not frozen in time, but carried forward by our kids, our classrooms, our kitchens, our communities. And before we talk any more about where we are headed, it feels important to pause and listen to where we have been. Today I want to share something special. In the winter 1991 edition of The Mailboat, Smyrna School's Mrs. Ann Stein's 1990 fourth grade class and Atlantic School's Mrs. Sue Martin's 1991 third grade class shared local histories. They wrote about their different communities. These weren't outsiders telling our story. These were neighbors, family members, people who live here. What you're about to hear is a glimpse into how our communities saw themselves over 30 years ago, what mattered, what was remembered, and what they wanted to endure. As you listen, I invite you to notice what feels familiar, what has changed, and what still feels exactly the same. Otway by Josh Gillikin. The name of our community is Otway. It got its name from Otway Burns, a famous privateer. He is buried in Beaufort. There were 3 churches, 1 convenience store, 1 country store, 4 garages, 1 beauty shop, 1 hardware store, 1 auto parts store, 4 trailer parks, 2 campgrounds, 1 seafood market, and 1 health spa. We also have a public dump and a voluntary fire and rescue squad. Our nearby communities are Smyrna, Betty, and Straits. There are about 700 people in our community. People work at Cherry Point and are carpenters and contractors. Several work on dredges. Some are fishermen, and some work in stores. Most people travel to work by car or truck, but some walk. The first people that lived in our community were Lawrence's, Gillikins, and Lewis's. Long ago, Otway was mostly wooded areas with farmland and a few houses. An important event for Otway was when we got our fire and rescue building. An interesting place to visit in Otway is the campground, where we can go swimming in the pool. A famous man who lived in Otway was Decatur Gillikin. If you hear anyone call someone else Decatur, that means they are very strong. The story is told that Decatur owed county taxes that he refused to pay. Many ways had been tried to collect these taxes, and none had worked. Sometime later, Decatur went to Beaufort in a skiff to buy groceries and supplies. He tied his boat up and went to the grocery store. The tax collector saw Decatur and said, "Boys, we've got him now." With the help of 6 men, the tax collector carried Decatur's boat to the courthouse. When Decatur had finished his shopping, he came back to where he had left his boat. Seeing that his boat was missing, he said, "Boys, has anybody seen my boat?" Someone told him what had happened. Decatur walked to the courthouse, set his 2 bags of groceries inside his skiff, picked up the skiff, carried the skiff to the water, put it overboard, and shoved back to Otway. Straits by Michael Dameron. The name of my community is Straits. My community gets its name from the body of water that lies between Straits and Harker's Island. The name of the communities that are near us are Otway, Gloucester, and Harker's Island. I live in the state of North Carolina, which is located on the central eastern coast of the United States. About 300 people live in my community. A lot of people that live in my community work at Cherry Point. Some of them are commercial fishermen, and many are people who have retired and moved here from other places. My uncle, David Chadwick, has a store and a boat repair business in Straits. Mr. Michael Sasser operates Coastal Canvas, and my daddy, Paul Dameron, has a Mercury dealership. He sells boats and motors. The first people who lived in my community were the Chadwicks. Straits was a farm community years ago. They grew cotton and vegetables. They took a lot of their products up north to sell them. People traveled by boat long ago. The only famous person I know would be Mr. Gerald Whitehurst. He was a county commissioner a few years ago. One important thing that happened was the Straits United Methodist Church. It was the first Methodist church east of Beaufort. The most interesting place to visit in Straits is our shore at the bridge. People come there to go fishing and swimming. Marshallburg by Ramsey Davis. The name of my community is Marshallburg. My community got its name from the man that delivered mail by boat. His last name was Marshall. Gloucester and Smyrna are the names of some nearby communities. The name of my state is North Carolina. My state is located on the east coast of the United States. About 500 people live in my community. Many people work on the water, at the boathouses, or at Cherry Point. People travel to work by car or boat. The only store in my community is The Corner. Some businesses in my community are 4 Boat Works, a seafood business, and a clam hatchery. The first people to live in my community were people that moved from Shackleford Banks. Also, there were Indians in the very beginning. My community looked very different then. It had dirt roads, small wood houses, no electric lights, no TVs, and fields planted in crops. Everyone had a workboat at the shore. Shell piles were left along the shore from the Indians. Every home had an outdoor toilet. Some famous people from my community are Ray Davis. He built yachts that went all over the East Coast. Mr. L.W. Moore, family doctor. W.Q.A. Graham, founder of Graham Academy. One important thing was they dug clay from the creek to help build Fort Macon. They paved the main roads in 1936. Electricity came about the same time. Schools began about 1875. The boat harbor was built in 1955. Some interesting places that people might visit when they come to my community are the churches, the boat houses, fish houses, the boat harbor, and the cemeteries. The reason people visit these places is to learn about the past and present. Atlantic by Tony Gaskell. I live in the community of Atlantic, which is located in the state of North Carolina. North Carolina is located on the east coast of the United States. Atlantic got its name from the ocean across from the Outer Banks. This is called the Atlantic Ocean. To the east of Atlantic is an island called Cedar Island. To the west is the community of Sea Level, and farther west is Stacy. There are about 1,000 people living in Atlantic. Many of the men work at the business of commercial fishing. Some people work at the Red and White supermarket. A few people work at Winston Hill and Sons, owned and operated by Roderick Hill. This store was built in 1935. We also have Clayton Fulcher and Luther Smith Seafood Companies. Some people from my community work at Sailor Snug Harbor and Sea Level Hospital. Most people from my community travel to work by car or truck. People come to Atlantic to visit our cemetery when their ancestors are buried. Some people enjoy visiting old homes built in the 1800s. Winston Hills, a general store, is of interest to many people. My favorite thing to see in Atlantic is the shore side. You can see many fishing boats and sea life along the shore. I love calling Atlantic home. Atlantic was settled about 1740 and given the name Hunting Quarters until 1890 when it became Atlantic. The first people to live here were the Corey Indians, which Core Sound was named after. Long ago, there were no paved roads in Atlantic. There were no light poles or phone poles. Much of the shoreline had been washed away during the years. Some famous people from Atlantic are Joe Mason Sr., 1902 Carteret County House of Representatives. In 1958, our county commissioner was Gaston Smith. My great-grandfather, John Daniel Smith, was chairman of the school board for more than 40 years. In the 1930s, the roads were paved in Atlantic. Highway 70 East ends in Atlantic. Sea Level by Amy Goodwin. My name is Amy Goodwin. I live on the East Coast between Virginia and South Carolina in the state of North Carolina. The name of my community is Sea Level. It is located between Atlantic and Stacy. Sea level is almost level with the sea. That's how it got its name, Sea Level. My community of Sea Level has around 700 people living here. They have many different jobs. Some work at Cherry Point, the fish house, hospital, motel, while others fish, paint, or build houses. Many have to use a car or truck to get to their jobs. Others can use a boat or walk. The community doesn't have a store to buy food or gas. We have to go elsewhere. We do have a drugstore, post office, bank, motel, and a hospital. I believe the first people to live in the area of Sea Level were Indians. Then came the white people. Their last name was Lupton. Sea Level was first named Witt. Back then, there wasn't any paved roads or streetlights. People lived in log cabins. Everyone had gardens, cows, pigs, horses, and chickens. Some famous people from Sea Level were the Taylor brothers. They all have died except one. They helped build our hospital and motel. The building of the hospital was important. Many sick people go there to get better. Sailor Snug Harbor is a good place to visit. You can learn a lot from the old sailors that live there. You can see models of old sailing ships. Other places of interest would be our campground and churches. Our campground has a swimming pool and places to camp out. You can also put your boat into the water and go ride. We have 5 churches on Sea Level. They are so pretty inside. One has a picture of Jesus on the outside that has a light at night. A church is a nice place to be at any time. Stacy by Stephen Cook. The name of my community is Stacy, North Carolina. It is located in the Middle Eastern seaboard. Davis, Sea Level, Atlantic, and Cedar Island are some nearby communities. Stacy is a small township in Carteret County. It is made up of 2 towns of Masontown and Piney Point. Masontown was located in the Rosemary Creek area, which changed to Lewis Creek. The first church in Stacy was started in Masontown. It was called Mason Chapel. Piney Point was located in the Fulcher Creek and Brett Bay area. A request was made to the government for establishing postal service. Dr. William Paul was asked to change the name just because it didn't sound right. They said he just popped the name Stacy right out of his mind. There are about 320 people living in my community. Some of the jobs around this area are fishermen, teachers, beauticians, and working at Cherry Point. People travel by cars, trucks, and vans. There is one store on Stacy. The name of the store is Eastern Quick Mart. The one business on Stacy is the Golden Seafood, which is run by Bruce Golden. The interesting places people visit would have to begin with the Stacy Free Will Baptist Church, which is 110 years old. Of course, people still love to meet and chat at the post office and the Eastern Quick Mart. The first people to live in my community were the Corey Indians. Then in 1740, 2 brothers, one whose name was John Nelson, were the first white men to settle at the head of Nelson's Bay, which was first called Hunting Quarters and then Piney Point. It was a small fishing village which included several natural harbors and 2 bays. The plentiful pine trees and harbors made it a beautiful place to live. Joe Louis drove the first horse-drawn mail cart. Mail was brought by boat. Among some of Stacy's most famous people were members of the armed service such as Theodore Salter, Eldon Fulcher, and Mitchell Fulcher. John Washington Fulcher was among the first to earn the life-saving medal at Cape Lookout. My great-grandfather, Irvin Fulcher, was noted for his great duck decoys, and grandmother says he has some in a museum, but no one knows how they got there. Stacy has also produced 2 doctors, Dr. Salter and Dr. Luther Fulcher. In 1885, Stacy applied for and received permission to operate a post office. Stacy was famous for its good fishing, hunting, and turpentine. It remains a good place today. There's something powerful about hearing these words now, because so much of what they wrote still lives all around us, in the landscape, in the rhythm of the water, and in the people who are still carrying this place forward. And that's exactly what the Landing is hoping to do in 2026 and beyond. We are hoping to build something that connects far and wide back home, something that helps people understand why this place matters, why it's worth protecting, teaching, celebrating, and investing in. In 2026, we're not chasing big and loud. We are choosing meaningful. We are choosing local. We are choosing to honor the everyday beauty of Down East life, the kind that doesn't always make headlines, but makes a home. If you've ever pulled a net, painted a skiff, walked a marsh, gathered oysters, taught a child, or simply loved this place fiercely, this program is for you. And if you're listening from somewhere else, curious about Down East, then welcome. Pull up a chair. This is a community that still believes in roots, resilience, and looking out for one another. So here's to 2026, to the stories we will tell together, to the voices we will amplify, to the places we are proud to call home. This is The Landing, and wherever you are listening from, thanks for coming home with us. And finally, I invite you to reach out to me with ideas of folks to talk with or topics to cover. We cannot do this alone. As all of us know, it is going to take us all to preserve this beautiful heritage we share. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's make 2026 one filled with love, laughter, and memories. Thank you again for joining us to The Landing. This podcast is brought to you by the Core Sound Waterfowl Museum and Heritage Center. I am your host, Stacy Davis Baisden, and today's podcast was produced by April Davidson. Tune in next week as we continue learning, sharing, and remembering together. If you'd like to hear more, check out our previous episodes where you get your podcasts. Until then, stay safe and be kind.